Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. So pleased to have in the studio with us today the brain trust of the Burn Institute. We got Peter Callstrom, Executive Director, joined by his board president, David Ott. Peter and David, how you doing?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Very, very good. David, how long have you been on the board?
It's 20 years.
Wow.
Thank you for your service. Congratulations. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the Executive Director of San Diego Writers, Inc. She's been sitting next to me now 15 months and doing a great job. So we really appreciate
Why, thank you. Yeah, I've missed a few here and there, but I'm happy to be back.
No,
so
I think that's great. Peter, we'll start with you on it and pivot over to David. Just in a nutshell, what's the mission of the Burn Institute?
Yeah, thanks for asking and for having us. The Burn Institute has been around since 1972, serving burn survivors and doing a lot of programs from retreats and support groups and all kinds of activities to support those affected by burn trauma. In addition, then we do a lot of prevention education. So we run what's called Fire Safe Kids, which reaches over 40,000 kids every year in school with a program and curriculum. Fire Safe Seniors, doing free smoke alarm and CO alarm for seniors throughout the region, over 1,000 installations every year. We do youth fire setter prevention. So when youth are dabbling with that, we're able to intervene and provide redirection and support so that they can avoid that behavior. And so many other things that my board chair, David, can articulate better, having been here much longer.
Yeah, and David, 20 years. First of all, thank you so much for doing this. Anybody who's spent any time in Southern California in recent years know we've never seen things before, to say the least. And so you started at the Burn Institute as on the board 20 years ago. But were you in San Diego when we had the 2003 and 2007 fires?
I was actually in charge of some of those areas that were affected by it.
Oh, my goodness. In what role was that?
I was fire chief, and at that time I was fire chief in Imperial Beach, and then later Solana Beach, Del Mar.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
So that day I won't forget. In fact, most people won't forget. Where were you in 2000? Were you born in 2003?
Get out of here.
Okay.
I was in college, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but were you living near?
No, I was in LA.
Yeah. So, we were in Borrego Springs, and I get a call from someone to say, "Are you evacuating?" I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, there's a big fire coming your way." I lived in Penasquita, still do. Peter knows where I am, but it was roaring through. And we couldn't go to Julian. We couldn't go this way, and we're driving through the fire. And
Scripps Ranch right here was devastated during the first one, right?
The witch fire,
Yeah, exactly. And then 4 years to the day was the other. So thank you so much for what you did. And that's just crazy. You're just a perfect person to be the board chair. What do you love most about working with the Burn Institute?
Honestly, the fire service the Burn Institute is near and dear to our hearts.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
So that was a natural partnership. The fire service really supports the Burn Institute. You'll see the fire service out on the streets in early March here, which we call the boot drive.
Okay.
I want to give a little plug on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second, right?
Exactly. But I think our mission, it's a really, obviously being from the fire service, I've seen some of the tragic results of burn injuries, not just in fires and things like that, but even scalds from burns. So,
and I think that's interesting, David, and maybe you can talk about that and pivot over to Peter on it. When people think of this, they're thinking of fires. They're thinking of the things we saw in Palisades up in north. Unfortunately, my high school burned. To Palisades High School. Tough stuff, to say the least. Yeah. But they forget, well, you can get yourself burned doing 75 other things other than a fire, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the most common type of burn? Is it like a kitchen burn?
Scald. Yeah, scald.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Right.
scalds are the number one type of burn that occur for littles because boiling water, a hot stove, anything around the home. So that's where the Fire Safe Kids is really
Right.
invaluable, because reaching youth at a very early age to make them aware changes everything. And then they're not going to grab that hot pot of boiling water or other risky behavior because they just don't know. And when we can do that, then they're going to be much more aware and safe.
Right.
Yeah. Can we pivot to that for a second?
Sure.
So as a parent of a little, what does that program look like? What are the ages? To talk a little more about that.
Yeah, Fire Safe Kids, we have a curriculum. So there's a coloring book. So it's really engaging. Our staff go into schools, teach a classroom or an assembly, reaching scores of littles, and we put on a full presentation. We have activities where they can do the stop, drop, and roll and just be really aware. Then the companion book they can take home and work with their parents so that they're aware of the risk, and they can be it can be a family activity. So it's incredibly impactful and educational. And so this is all free on our site too. We at burninstitute.org, the wildfire prevention guides that David was alluding to, and the Fire Safe Kids is a separate site that we host, firesafekids.org. And there's a lot of wonderful activities, but all that a school needs to do or a parent is reach out to us through our site, set up a presentation, and our staff they reach over 40,000 kids every single year through this program alone.
That's great.
It is. It's amazing.
Well, it's interesting you bring about the scalding and all that, and just the simple things. And we know this is how humans are, sometimes we're way below on the totem pole. It's like we'll take the toaster sometimes above us. But, it's the obvious things that, well, no, you shouldn't have the panhandle over here just because some little kid, little Declan's going to go.
Yeah. No, I'm constantly yelling at my husband about this. So, yeah.
Even like cup of noodles. That's one of the highest risk factors. So maybe not the little, but even an older or teen, or you pull that out, and if you spill that boiling water, there you go. And so, again, just awareness is really so invaluable in prevention.
Well, let me ask you this, too. Now that you get it, as our population is aging, and Peter knows we have, and Chris knows. Yes. That's right, exactly. You've already aged. You're
speaking for yourself.
Peter's past that. But seriously, as more of us are going, Alzheimer's is an issue. We have Alzheimer's Society on quite a bit in the Alzheimer's Association.
Right.
Do you do any preventative for seniors? I mean, we know that some of them might not realize, geez, did I turn that on? Did I leave it on, the stove, whatever? Do we do stuff with that, David?
Oh, absolutely, we do that. We also take the opportunity when we go out and install smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors as well, that we also take that time to kind of look at their surroundings within their home, or and give them some advice and give them some tips and things like that as well. So we definitely reach out to seniors a lot.
This is a free program. So they just have to go to our site, and it's Fire Safe Seniors. And we do the free installation. So we're providing the units, the staff go there. And as David mentioned, going around the house to fire safe the areas. But you bring up a real good point too around the aging population, and if it's Alzheimer's, dementia, and there's other risk factors there. So how do we help people at risk so that they're not going to stumble into something that could cause harm?
Right. Now, do you have to be a certain age on the senior program?
62 plus.
62
so
plus.
You qualify.
Okay, I do qualify. I qualified about 30 years ago, for God's sake. Thank God it's not talking about IQ. We're chatting with Peter Callstrom. He's the executive director of the Burn Institute, joined by his board president, David Ott. 20 years on the board, and thank you so much for your service as a fire chief as well, David. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 19th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of great work with people in San Diego County, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. So are you, Kristen, now going to go home and take a look and make sure you're not close to this age, of course, but make sure your house is all fire safe?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to go home right now. I'm going to go home after our next interview. But yeah, absolutely. I always think about it, And
on our website, burninstitute.org, you can download that booklet for your home use. So you don't have to wait for a presentation at a school. And it's a wonderful little guide, coloring book for the littles so they can understand it and be prepared.
I love that so much.
Yeah. Go ahead. Fire away. Next one.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Fill the Boot fundraiser that's coming up?
Sure, absolutely. The fire service, I said, is one of our the most important partners in this. And so the boot drive has been going on for at about 30 years at least, so it's been out there for a long, long time. I'm sure our listeners have seen the firefighters sitting at intersections with a boot, with a firefighter's boot. And we really appreciate the generosity of the public. They've really helped support us every single year. But that's coming up here real shortly.
Yeah, Wednesday, March 5th. So in the morning commute and in the afternoon. And they're going to be on street corners in their gear, volunteering their time. So you can drop in coins, cash, and we even have a QR code. So if they want to capture that and donate at another time, and they can go right to our site and donate as well, burninstitute.org. It's right on our homepage. But this is our most important fundraiser for the year. It allows us to do Fire Safe Kids and seniors and all the other programs that we're running, because we are reliant upon giving, grants, and special events. That's how our budget is made up. So the community makes our work possible. We're one of the few like this in the country. So the community support makes us possible to serve.
Yeah.
When we come back from break, Peter and David want to talk more about that aspect as well. Some things that I think are really important. You can't help but look at what the tragedies that have happened up in L.A. area and Pasadena and so forth. I know we were on pins and needles, and certainly thereafter there were a bunch of fires that popped up not too far from where you and I are, Peter, and so forth. And just talk about just in general being safe. I mean, some of it is pretty obvious stuff as well. And then I'd love to also talk a little about what you had mentioned earlier, David, is the things you don't necessarily think about, the scalding and all that. There's some things that are just, do you have a frayed electrical outlet, that, I haven't looked at this thing in a while. Well, listen, those things are, certainly challenging, and especially with what's been chatted about in the world of insurance and home insurance gets a little scary. When we return with Peter Callstrom and David Ott, they're from the Burn Institute. Peter is the executive director. David is the board president. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We're brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Our Spotlight show has been going on now for 19 years, longest running community podcast in the nation. Mission Fed, phenomenal supporters, 6 decades of doing great things.
Congratulations. That is an amazing run.
No, I appreciate that. It was called Internet Radio when we started it. And so it wasn't even called podcasting. But I've been
doing
fortunate.
A great service to the community, getting the word out.
Well, we try, and it's been great having Kristen as a co-host. It offers a different perspective as well. Exactly. She makes me say these things all the time.
Yeah.
But you really can't talk enough about this type of work and all that, and really proud to have Mission Fed as part of this. They've been doing great things for many, many moons. Kristen, got a question.
Yeah, so Drew had a bevy of things that he wanted to talk about, but I wanted to kick it back to the burn survivor engagement and support programs that you all have. So can one of you speak to that or those?
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah.
One wonderful event is we do an annual camp in the summer for burn survivors and families. It's called Camp Beyond the Scars. And this is provided for free with the support of the community, again, allowing us to fund this and send campers off for a week in the summer. So that's fabulous. Again, this is all available on our site. And there's other ongoing retreats for male adults and female adults and youth. And so we're bringing the community together because that peer support is just invaluable. That goes on all the time. So there are support groups that we staff and support and bring together to provide caring and support and love for those who are going through that trauma. So there's a wealth of wonderful programs. We did an annual picnic. We want to do more of them, but we brought together families and burn survivors in early February. And the more support we have from the community, the more that we can do. And it really comes down to that. And we have a very small but mighty team of about 12 who are doing all of this work for San Diego County as well as Imperial Valley. We have one staff out there. So the more support, the more we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to say is that, as far as burn injuries go, it's one of the more devastating injury you can have. Yeah. It's not just the physical scars, which obviously can be significant, but it's the psychological scars as well that that burn survivors have to live with. Also, their loved ones live with the same psychological scars as well. So the Burn Institute provides counseling as well, and really part of the Camp Beyond the Scars is part of that counseling as well, but it's ongoing throughout the year. We have burn survivors and their family come into support groups and provide that counseling that helps them try to restore as much as possible their normal life and things like that. So it's probably our biggest program that we have.
And we partner closely with the UCSD Burn Center that we, David and the founders helped bring about. And so we get a lot of referrals from the Burn Center that sees people on a daily basis who are experiencing different kinds of burn trauma, again, in the home and at work in a variety of settings. They provide the healthcare support. We work with the clinical social workers. They refer to us, and then they're a part of the group and get the support from our team. So it takes a team in order for this to be done.
I think one of the things that certainly I'm a little prejudiced. Peter Callstrom is one of my good friends on this and has been a great community leader for many years, and a great hire bringing him on. But one of the things I think you've already realized, David, he's such a great connector. He has so many things. Burn Institute's already been having a lot of partnerships, and it's just going to grow in this area. But I'll start with you on David, and Peter, you can add to it. You mentioned UCSD burn group that you work with. Do you work with other Red Cross at all? Are you working with the food banks and all that? We know when there's a fire, obviously people are displaced or whatever the case may be. Talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Red Cross is definitely a partner of ours. They've supplied us with several pieces of material for us and help us a lot and support us significantly. So it's one of our very important partners as well. And I'll let Peter then kind of...
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up about the network, because it takes this community network and all the other nonprofit organizations that make this work possible. So, 211 and so many other entities, the food bank. I mean, we're really also interconnected. And the more that we can raise awareness again, then more in the community, and parents need to know what we're able to do to help them provide critical prevention. That is so key. So getting the word out is so important to us. We've been around a long time, but it's still hard to be able to make everybody aware of the wealth of services that we provide. So burninstitute.org, again, provides all that. These are free downloadable materials, a wildfire prevention guide, and so many other things. But the more we can share the word and make people aware that burns are not just these terrible incidents of the wildfires, that we live in that type of climate, but it's at home and at work, and being aware so that you don't have undue risk with burns.
Another very important partner to us is SDG&E.
Yes.
Right.
And very important to us. And really that partnership started many, many years ago because electrical burns to their workers and that. And so, but they support us all our activities and our programs. Very important partner to us.
And Grossmont Healthcare, another title sponsor we've had for a number of years. So there's a lot of corporate and philanthropic supporters who get behind our work, but we need more still, because this work is affecting everybody, but we don't think about it every day. And that's what we're trying to do, is get this in the home and make the schools more aware, because the more we can do that, we can avoid this trauma that David was speaking about that is lifelong and really traumatic.
Yeah, our next guest is the inimitable Joseph Clevenger, is Assistant Superintendent of the County Office of Education, a longtime superintendent up in Bonsall. Certainly we know about some of the issues that have happened up in that area, and a great leader there, and obviously, they had a recent fire, and of course.
If there's one other thing I could raise,
please.
A really important event is the Spirit of Courage Awards banquet, and we're coming up on our 50th anniversary of this remarkable event, and that's going to be May 1st at the Julep venue, where we recognize those who risked their lives throughout the past calendar year.
What day is that again?
May 1st.
May 1st, okay.
At Julep venue in the evening.
It's called Spirit of Courage?
Spirit of Courage Awards.
Okay.
And David has been to many of them and hosted them. And David, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak a little about that. It's not, it's really not, we honor the firefighters all the time, but this is not about the firefighters. These are normal, everyday citizens going to work, going to school, go and get the groceries that happen to come across some tragedy as far as vehicle accident, house fires, things like that, and perform acts of bravery in that. Wow. And so we want to recognize them, and also a lot of our police officers. They are often very first on scene at some of these tragedies, and their heroic efforts as well. So it is really a good event. We would love to have people even come to that as well, and really see some of these unbelievable stories that we narrate there, and we actually have many people that were actually, there at the event as well, and they'll speak as well. So.
I think what's certainly anybody who was watching the news from January 7th of the devastation up in area, and I think as Peter knows, I was where I went to high school up in the Palisades, and just watching it is traumatizing, whether you were from there or not. And of course, we saw the fires that jumped up down here in San Diego, Friars Road, Black Mountain, Center Fire, and all that business. But would you offer such a peace of mind for people? They just have to be aware of all the great things that you do offer. That, listen, if we take care of ourselves, if we try to get rid of as much defensible brush as we can't control Santa Ana's at this point, but we can do other things. There's a wealth of information. Peter, shout out that website one more time.
Yeah, thanks. burninstitute.org. And on the site, we have these guides, a very comprehensive wildfire prevention guide, where you can prepare your home even better, the defensible space, if you've got a propane tank out, all kinds of things that are necessary in order to best save your property if we face this kind of tragedy in the future. And David, would you like to add any more about the prevention piece that we do?
Oh, absolutely. But I think it's real important. Definitely go to our website. But there's many things that homeowners can do to help protect their property, and also help protect firefighters when they're out there trying to save their property. So it's really important that they kind of try to make their residents as far as safe as possible. We live in Southern California. Fire is a fact of life, but there are things that people can do to really help in their home and their precious possessions survive.
Well, we can't talk about enough what you do. Again, for our listeners, March 5th is Fill the Boot. So when you're driving around town, and if you're not planning on driving around town, drive around town. You can also donate online as well. And of course, on May 1st, the Spirit of the Courage Awards. Peter and David would like to make an offer to come back on sooner than later. Maybe bring in someone from a school, or bring in somebody that has benefited from the surviter aspect of it.
Love to.
And bring some guests in. Peter, I'll shoot it over to you and David, and you guys can just tell me when you want to come back in. We can't talk about this enough. We can't shine a light on this enough, especially the people that have benefited from some of your services.
Great. And Fill the Boot is, again, so instrumental. So people have some spare coins or cash, please bring them and then drop it in the boot. Very easy on March 5th. to support our firefighters and the Burn Institute.
That sounds good. Peter Callstrom, always good to see you, my friend. And thank you for your long-time great community service. And David, what a pleasure meeting you. Sure. Thank you for being fire chief. We're going to look forward to having you folks back on return appearance.
And most important, thank you, your better half, your co-host.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct.
Far better half.
Did she pay you as well to say that? I really enjoyed the conversation with the Burn Institute. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of doing great things in San Diego County. And obviously, and I do agree with you, Peter, Kristen Fogel has been certainly a great addition to the Spotlight Show. Very appreciative of her great co-hosting. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc. And for our audience, I hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.